Excellent. Okay, let's get started. Remember, we're doing revision and we're looking at exam contextual questions. Everything we do in the revision course comes straight from past papers, the best way to learn for an exam. All right, so here is a scenario. Okay, this person sells birds. All right, they have a breeding pair of birds and they sell birds, the little babies, and they make a little bit of money off the sale of birds. Okay, so here we have a table showing the values for number of birds sold. All right, so at the top there we have the number of birds from 0 to 20, and then at the bottom we have money received from sales of those birds. Okay, we can see here, we notice in the table there's a 3.2. That's obviously going to link to question 3.2 down there. All right, whoopsie. All right, there we go. All right. Who can tell me, before we even start answering these questions, what type of relationship is this? We learned about patterns in relationship in term one. We learned about line graphs. What type of relationship is this that you see here? If you can look at the table, we haven't got a graph in front of us, but we can look at the table and kind of tell what kind of relationship this is. I see that the number of birds are increasing from left to right, and the value, rand value, is also increasing from left to right. What type of relationship do you guys see here? Is it linear? Is it a linear relationship? You're more than welcome to type in chat, guys.
Or talk to us. We like to
Or
hear
talk to us.
their voices.
Yeah, we love hearing your voices. Anybody.
Somebody.
Somebody.
Anybody. But I see we
Yeah.
have something from Orabile in the chat, and they say it's a linear relationship.
Okay. What I'm really saying, it's linear. Now we have a couple of linear relationships. Here's a graph, and here is a linear relationship. A line going horizontally. All right. Or we could have another one like this, and a line going down. And here's another one. All right, so these are three different types of linear relationships. Okay, let me make it easier for you. Is it relationship 1, 2, or 3? Which one do you think this is in this scenario? 1, 2, or 3? It is 3, Orabili. Well done. Okay, yes, good. All right, so then we could say that this is a linear proportional relationship, right? Or an increasing graph, increasing linear graph. The graph is increasing proportionally. What that means is as the number is increasing, so the rand value is increasing with it. We can see here that number 1 and 2, if you double 1, you'll get 2, and if you double the 25, you get 50. So the increase is proportional together at the same time. All right, it's increasing together at the same time. So we could say it's increasing, linear increasing, and it's a proportional relationship. All right. Who can tell me what is the relationship expressed with the graph number 2? What is this one? Number 2. What do we call that kind of linear relationship? If number 3 is proportional, what is number 2? Oh, everyone's quiet tonight.
Yeah, just a whole lot of crickets.
Yeah, I think everyone's written their 2 papers now. They're all quiet, they're all spent. All right, so number 2 is inversely proportional. All right, and number 1 is a constant relationship, right? So a constant relationship, it doesn't change. Okay, but let's see what we are dealing with here in our question. I want to rub these all out. So in our question here, we have this relationship between the number of birds and the money received from the sales of those birds. So 3.1 says, Name the independent variable of the data. Name the independent variable of the data. Katlego.
Let's quickly unmute you there. You should see a message on your screen. There we go.
Hello,
Katlego,
sir.
how are you? How are you?
Thanks for getting you, sir.
Good. How are the exams going?
I'm going fine. I've closed today.
You closed today?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's nice. Like a long weekend, eh? Extra long weekend.
Yes, sir.
Very nice. All right. Which one is the independent variable out of these two? The number of birds or the sales?
I think it's a sale, sir.
Okay, so you're saying the sales are independent. In other words, what you're saying is the rand value doesn't depend on the number of birds, because independent means don't depend on anything. You don't rely on anything else. You stand on your own. You don't need anything else to be who you are. You're independent. Okay, so you're telling me that the rand value doesn't need the numbers above. So if we took away the numbers above, these rand values wouldn't change.
I think, according to me, sir, for us, in order for us to get the 50 rand, right,
Yes.
let's leave out the 25 rand. So
Yeah.
I did my calculations. I took the 25 rand multiplied by 2. It gave us a 50.
Okay. So that
So
50 that yes, sorry. Please carry on.
So I was figuring out how to get the 3.2.
Okay. So then
So
in your
it gave me
calculation,
problems.
so in your calculation, that 50 to become 50, it needed or relied on the 2, didn't it?
It did.
You needed to do something with that 2 to get the 50. If it wasn't a 2 or it was a 3, then the rand value would be something else, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be something
Yeah.
else.
So these rand values depend on what the number of birds number is.
So which
Okay.
means our independent variable is number of birds.
That's the one. So the number of birds doesn't care about the rand values. The number of birds is just going to be whatever they want to be. The rand values will depend on how many birds are sold. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So the independent variable, independent, doesn't need anyone, is the number of birds. So for question 3.1, it's the number of birds. Okay. Katlego,
Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you very much for discussing that with me. Awesome. Appreciate it. All right. And then Katlego said she's already on 3.2, which says calculate how much money Michael will get if he sells only 5 birds. Okay. Now, Katlego, Pete.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Katlego. I'm going to ask Pete to unmute you quickly. How are you?
I'm
Hello?
doing you, sir.
Good. You still there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Katlego, thanks for helping me. I'm going to switch over to Pete now. Appreciate your help, eh?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, Pete, you there?
Hi, sir.
How are you?
I'm good, and you, sir?
I'm good. Tell me, what did you do to calculate how much money Michael will get if he sells 5 birds?
So, since one bird costs 25 Rand, I took the 25 and I times it by 5 and I got 125.
Very good. So we need to focus, and Katlego also mentioned it, with this 1 and 25, because we need a price per bird. Now, price per bird means price per one bird. Okay, so this price for one bird is very important in helping us with question 3.2. If one bird costs 25, how many will 5 cost? And like you mentioned, we're going to say 5 times 25 Rand, and this will give us 125 Rand. Okay. You also got that? Excellent. Well done. Thank you, Betty. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So that was question 3.2. I'm going to shrink it down a little bit, move it to the side. There we go. All right. Oh, excuse me. All right. 3.3. Use the table above to draw a line. Now, obviously, you guys, I can't draw lines. I'm going to do this one. So it says, use the table above to draw a line graph on the answer sheet to show how much money Michael made from his bird sales. Clearly label the axes and give the graph a suitable heading. Now, this instruction here, ladies and gentlemen, you're lucky you're getting that instruction. If they don't give you that instruction, you should be doing it anyway. So that's just a reminder, really. Okay. Now we need to put in our value for 3.2, which is 125 Rand. So I'm just going to put there 125. And then I'm going to use this to help me draw the graph. Okay. So 0, 0, 1 is 25, 2 is 50, and 5 is 125. So let's go down to my graph here. Okay, so now we're going to plot some points. Okay, at the bottom here, we have our number of birds. In fact, I want to write that down. Let's do the title now. So number of birds. Okay, and on the right-hand side, we got, where's my, there it is. So we got sales. I'm writing sales. I'll put a Rand sign there. Okay, we go down to the X-axis now. Number of birds. We don't have the odd numbers, so I'm going to put a mark between them like this, just to show that odd numbers. There's 1 and 3, 4, 5. Okay. 7, I'm going to do 9, and I'm going to stop there for now. So I'm going to plot points here. For 0 birds, you get 0 rands. For 1 bird, we get 25. Now I can see this is 100 and this is 0. Okay, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So a halfway will be 50. This will be 50 Rand, which means this is 25. And this is 75. Okay, so for 1 bird, it's 25 Rand. For 2 birds, it's 50 Rand, if I remember. I don't think we had 3. Let me go back up to the table. I think we skipped right up to 5 after that. Yes, so we're in 5, 10, and 20. Okay. So for 5, we worked out that it's 125, which will be up here. For 10, it'll be 250, which is about here. Okay, I'm trying to be as accurate as possible. There. And then for 20, it will be 500, which is way up here. So it'll be here, and I need to see the 20 and the 500. In fact, I won't even do it. I'll just leave it out for now. Okay, now listen carefully. I'm going to help you here with a tip. If you know, which is why I told you to look at the table and say, do you know what type of relationship this is? And we said it's a linear relationship and it's proportional. As one increases, other increases. It's a straight line. It's linear. It should be a straight line. Okay. If you know this, when you start plotting your points, they should follow in a straight line. Okay. So if I join all these points, when you do it with your ruler, I'm doing it here on the screen. When I join all these points, they should all match and sit on the line. I'm going to make them a bit bigger. There's one, there's one, there's one, there's one, and the 0. Okay, so you know you're plotting your points correctly if they all sit on the straight line. Now, if you know that, then, ladies and gentlemen, I've just deleted the point that we calculated. If they ask you to fill in a value in this table here, like we did for 3.2, when you do that calculation, all right, you should see its value on this line. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot a new point here for 5. Let's say it was 100. Let's say for some strange reason, maybe you pressed the wrong button. I don't know. But for some strange reason, you're not getting 125. You said 100 for question 3.2. Then when you plot your line on the graph here, you will immediately notice that that point, the one you calculated, is not on the line. That's when you need to go back and check your calculation, because in a linear graph with a linear proportional relationship like this one, all the points in the table should sit on the line. It's so frustrating marking your students' work when the line goes up like this and then they do this. All right. This zigzag here shouldn't be there. They plot a point and they think, oh, I have to join it. No, guys, if you know it's a linear relationship, it should be a straight line. If your point wants to do a zigzag like that, you need to go and check it again. All right. So that's a tip for these linear relationships. So this point must be wrong. All right. And then you might think, okay, well, I'll draw the line first and then check. You've got to show by calculation. All right. You have to show by calculation. So you can't just use the line to help you get the answers. You've got to calculate first. Okay. So there is our graph. Am I missing anything? Can you guys tell me if I'm missing anything? I've got my points plotted. I've got my line drawn. I've got my x-axis title. I've got my y-axis title. Am I missing anything? Am I all done with this graph? Do I have all information? Katlejo, tell me. Heading. There we go. Well done. I was waiting for you guys. You always have to have headings, all right? This graph has to have a name. All right, and they're actually given a line. You don't often get that in the exam. These people were very good in giving a hint. Something needs to be here. Okay, so we could say something like graph showing, oops, graph showing bird sales. Okay, that's the kind of heading that we could have. All right. Are there any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Raise your hand. Use the raise the hand function on the app. Type it in chat. If there's any questions, please, please, please feel free to ask. Okay. All right. So that was question 3. We've got a whole 4 marks in there. Okay. Now we come to 3.3. That was 3.3. This is 3.4. Is the number of birds discrete or continuous data? Is the number of birds discrete or continuous data, ladies and gentlemen? Which one is it? I'm getting continuous and discrete. Some guys are saying continuous, some guys are saying discrete. Is the number of birds discrete or continuous? This row here, those numbers, that data, discrete or continuous? All right. Watobe is going to help us here. Watobe, how are you?
I'm good, and you, sir?
Good. Tell me, young man, tell me, which one is it?
Continue, sir.
Okay, why do you say that? There must be a reason.
Because the number of birds can still go up.
It can still go up. The rand value can also go up as well.
Yeah.
If you're talking to your friends and they say, which one do you like? And you say, oh, I like this soccer player or that soccer player. You've got to have a reason for it. Must be a reason why you like something. I like Ferraris because I like how fast they go. Or I like a Jeep because I like that it can go anywhere. There must be a reason for it, eh? Always have a reason for what you say. All right, there was someone else.
Yes.
Thank you, Orabile. All right, listen carefully now. We've got Selena. Selena, you there?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. It's Lise Jose. Selena is her mom. So
Oh,
it's our
okay.
yes,
All right,
sir.
Lesejo, is it discrete or continuous?
I didn't see. It's the first time I'm here. I don't even know what topic.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. So we're doing the exam revision course, and tonight's topic is patterns and relationships. I saw
Okay.
your microphone was on, so I thought you wanted to say something there.
No.
No, okay. All right, no worries, it's fine. Okay, we've got a whole discrete because it includes numbers, integers. There we go. So there's a reason now. Discrete because. Okay, so discrete because. It's discrete because it includes numbers which are integers. All right, so whole numbers. You can't talk about 0.27 birds. All right, you only have 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 birds. Okay, you can't have 0.35 birds. All right, whole birds. So integers, whole numbers, that's discrete data. Continuous data is data that you measure. All right, so let me put a little note here. So discrete, whole or integer numbers. Continuous, it's numbers that you use to measure. All right, so think of when you measure things like with meters and it has decimals. All right, so continuous data has decimals. All right, so when you see comma, okay, that's continuous. All right, discrete is whole numbers. So when you talk about people and cars and birds, usually it's discrete, whole numbers or integers. When you talk about how high, how far, how long, that's continuous data because we can measure it and it can be shown with decimals. All right, so 3.4 definitely is discrete. Okay. Oh, sorry, Urabile. I'm sorry. But you know what? The June exams are almost like trials. You know, matrics have trials in preparation for a bigger exam. The June exam is like your trials for the end of your final exam. That one counts the most, eh? That's the big one. That's the one you need to worry about. So whatever you're getting wrong now, as long as you fix it before the final exam, it's okay. All right. It's okay. All right. Let's move on to our next contextual question. Okay. Let's have a look. Let's see. All right. So we have a new scenario here. It says, Pamela owns a taxi with a maximum capacity of 25 passengers. His cost per trip includes a 5 Rand per passenger payable to the taxi association, and he's paying 200 for fuel. He charges 20 Rand per passenger who boards his taxi. All right. So first of all, cost and charge. Okay, so he's paying himself out of his pocket costs for the trip, and he receives money from his passengers as well. So that talks to me about money that's going out, all right, that he's paying, and money that's coming back in. Okay, so like income and expenses, all right, that's what this is talking about. Okay, but let's see what the question says. It says, use the information above to answer the questions that follow. 1.1, write down the formula that Pomelo can use to calculate his expenses, like his costs, all right, money going out that he's paying out of his pocket. And use it, write it in the form expense, R for rands, your expenses equals something. Okay, your expenses equal something. Who's brave enough to try and help me build this formula? Okay, who's brave enough to try and help me build this formula? His expenses can be calculated by doing something. All right, and this sentence here at the top, okay, which says his cost per trip includes 5 Rand per passenger and 200 Rand for fuel per trip. That needs to be incorporated in this. Who is brave enough? Anybody brave enough to help me build this formula? Anybody?
Somebody.
Somebody?
Anybody.
Anybody?
Somebody.
Let's see who's out there tonight. Who's out
Or
there
maybe they're
tonight?
still thinking. I think we should give them the benefit
Oh,
of the doubt.
okay, let's let them. Ah, Vuela. Vuela's back. Vuela, you got some chips there. Can you help me with this question?
Did you see that shock? It's like, oh my gosh.
What? I just got you. I just got you. The teacher's asking me. I was away for 1 second and the teacher's asking me. Oh, all right. Don't worry, Vuela. Don't stress.
Sorry, sir. I went to go get my dog. My dog is making a noise.
All right. No worries. Listen,
I'm sorry.
young man, help me with this one, man.
Yes, sir.
Please help me with this one. All right. So we need to work out a formula to determine his expenses. Now, I've written here and underlined in yellow. We've got to take into account that he has to pay 5 Rand per passenger, and he has to pay 200 Rand for fuel for a trip. So expenses for a trip must include a per passenger payment and a 200 Rand fuel. So how could I build this formula? If you to type this on the calculator, what would you do? How would you type this on a calculator? Let's say you had 10 passengers. How much would it cost them? How would you work that out?
I'll divide, sir.
Divide what with what?
If he had 10 passengers or 5, because we
10 passengers. Let's say he has 10 passengers. How much is this trip going to cost him? Not how much the passengers are giving him. He's got to pay a taxi association and for fuel for one trip, right? So how much is it going to cost him if he has 10 passengers?
Okay, let me calculate it. Let me write it down, sir.
All right.
200 plus 5 passengers, 10.
All right. Will is doing something there.
200.
You said 200 plus.
Divide. I'm not plussing.
You said
Divide.
plus. I heard you say plus. You said 200 plus because you were thinking the right thing. You were saying, sir, I've got to take fuel, which is 200, and add it to something else. So we got 10 passengers, and each one costs 5 Rand. So what will you do with that?
10 passengers. Okay.
What math would you do? 10 passengers, each one costs 5 Rand.
That's 10 passengers, each one costs 5 Rand. That's 50 Rand.
How did you get that? What math did you do?
5 times 10.
5 times 10. Thank you very much.
And then do I plus? Is it? Then do I just calculate it together and then I get the answers?
Yeah. Tell me.
Oh, 250.
250. All right. Excellent. Thank you, Buela. Awesome. You just got you and you're answering the questions. Awesome. Okay. So now I'm going to take what Vuela did here as an example for 10 people. All right. But what the people that wrote this exam question are saying is, give us a formula that we can give to Pamelo that he can use every single time that he has a trip. All right. This one here is specific for 10 people. But we're going to give this thing to Pamelo and say, hey, Pamelo, you can use this formula every time you want to do a calculation. All right. So it's not necessarily going to be 10. It can be anything. All right. In fact, I'm going to take the 10 away. All right. Because that's a specific scenario. I want a situation where we're going to say any number of passengers. So the people that write these questions, they don't mind if you actually use a word here in this equation. All right. So we have to multiply 5 by what? We have to multiply 5 by the number of passengers. Okay, so I'm going to write, yes?
Selena would want to try.
Selena.
Yes.
Tell me.
It's 5. You take the cost per trip per passenger. You times it by the number of passengers.
All right, cool. So I'm going to write a short, excellent. I'm going to write a short word here. I'm going to write
25.
I'll just write the whole thing. I'll write the whole thing. Okay. I was looking for a shorter word. Maybe I could have used the letter P. In fact, let's do that. You guys will remember, right? Okay. So instead of writing the word passenger, I'm going to say P. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, that's a variable. Just relax, guys. It's not core maths. Okay. It's not a variable. It's just the letter P for passenger. Okay. So we're just saying 5 rand times however many passengers that we have. Okay. In the exam, you can use P or you can write out the whole word passenger. So but basically what we're doing is telling Pamelo, anytime you want to calculate this, all you're going to do is you're going to say 5 rand times the number of your passengers, however many there are, and then add 2 rand at the end of that. And you'll get your costs, you'll get your expenses. This is what they want you to do, to build a formula for Pamelo. All right, so Bianca's got 25 there. That's obviously an example for 25 passengers, but we're going to put a P there for any number. Oh, I see why Bianca's done it, because this trip is 25. Oh, okay, Bianca, that's why you put 25. The maximum capacity of the taxi is 25. Okay, so it can only go up to 25. It can be any number from 1 to 25. All right, that's why you got the 25 there. So we're going to put a P there in the place for passengers, and you can have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 25, depending on the trip. We're going to give this to Pamelo now. He can work out his costs or his expense for the trip anytime he wants. All right, now, we need to use the formula in question 1.1 to determine the expense for transporting 7 passengers. Now, you guys can do this. All right. Just like Willa suggested, I'm going to say expense equals. All right. Expense equals. Who would like to tell me what am I going to write here now? So we're using our formula, but it's for 7 passengers. So use the formula, but make it for 7 key passengers. All right, what should I write here, ladies and gentlemen? There we go, Bianca. All right, so we're going to say 5 times 7. That's how many passengers there are. All right, we put the units 5 times 7 plus 200. And we have to determine this now. So we need to find an answer. Okay, so 5 times 7, 35 plus 200, 235. Right. So you can see how easy it is when you've got a formula to work out any number of for any number of passengers what the expense will be. Okay. All right. Now look what they've done underneath here in question 1.3. Very interesting. The formula for calculating his income is as follows. So they asked you to do a formula for question 1.1 for his expenses, but they're doing it for question 1.3 for his income. And they actually wrote out the words number of passengers. You can write number of passengers, okay, or a P. In our case, we're just using a P to represent that. Okay. Excellent. So this is the formula for income. Use the above formula to complete table 1 provided. Hence. Now, what does this word hence mean? When they put hence down here on the left, hence, what are they trying to say? What does the word hence mean, guys? When they say hence, what are they trying to say? The number that you got or the answer that you got. Okay, yeah. So use the answer that you got in the previous question to help you do this. Okay, so our expenses there, we've got a formula. We've got a formula for income here, and we're going to fill in the table and then use that to graph Pamelo's income on the same set of axes with the graph of his expenses. Okay, so let's go have a look at this graph. Where is this thing? There's the table that we have to fill in. And here's the graph over here. And they've done the expense one for us. So we just need to do the income one. Okay, so let's come down here and fill in this table. So I'm going to write the formula for us above here. And instead of saying number of passengers, I'm just going to say P for passengers. So in this table, all we have to do is take P and multiply by 20. All right, guys, get your fingers ready, your calculators ready, and your chat ready. All right. How much income does this guy get for 0 passengers? We shouldn't even need a calculator for that. How much does he get if he's got no passengers?
0.
0. All right, so
Yeah.
0 rand. Okay. How much does he get if he's got 5 passengers?
100. This is
Okay.
100.
What if it's 10? There we go. I can hear the calculators. All right. 200. Good. 15. I'm not going to write it out now. 15. 300. 20. 400. Yes. 25. Well done. All right. So we can use this formula and put in place of the P any number of passengers that we want, and then we can work out the income in rands. Okay. That's the cool thing about a formula, is that you can replace the letter that you've put there or the words that you've put there with any number you want, and you can get a cost. All right. Now they want us to plot this. So 0, 0, 5 is 100, 10 is 200. 0, 0, 5 is 100, 10 is 200. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because it's a bit big. Let's shrink it down a bit. All right, there we go. Okay, so the first point I want to plot is down here in the corner. When you got 0 passengers, you're getting 0 rands. When you've got 5 passengers, like we said, you're getting 100 rand. If you've got 10 passengers, we said 200 rand. If you've got 15 passengers, we said, if I'm correct, 300 rand. If you've got 20 passengers, we said 400 rand. So that's up at the top here. Okay, that's what we've done for now. That's enough. Now we're going to join all these dots, and remember what I said, they should kind of fall on the same line. All right, then you know you're on the right track. So we've got 2 lines on our graph now. This, yes, your body. You there? Your body?
Just look for a message that's going to ask you to unmute. There we go.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm good. What can I
I
help you
wanted
with?
to ask. Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask. If it doesn't show the 0 on the graph, do you start by 0 still? Because I remember there was one time when I did a line graph, it didn't start by 0. They said you must start by
Okay.
by 5.
So yes. So sometimes the graph will not start at 0. It's a special case. I'll explain to you quickly. All right. So in our table, when we have 0 passengers, we have 0 rands. Okay,
Yes,
this
sir.
is our income. So if you don't have any passengers, you don't get any money. Okay, but for expenses, I'm going to write expenses underneath here. Okay, now if remember this is the money that Pamelo pays. All right, for every trip. All right, let's say he does a trip. Hypothetically speaking, I know it doesn't make any sense. Let's say he does a trip but there's no passengers. He's got to get to the next place, but there's no passengers. He still has to pay the 200 rand for the fuel. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
He does. So even for 0 passengers, there is still an expense of 200 rand. Okay. So when you're basing your relationship off the independent variable at the top here, this line at the top, when you're getting costs from this line at the top over here, and you always look at the 0 to determine this. If you don't have any extra expenses or extra income that doesn't relate to the number of passengers, because this fuel here doesn't care about who's in the car or not. You're paying 200 rand for fuel whether you got 0 passengers or 25 passengers. So this extra cost here of the 200 rand isn't relating to the passengers. That's when you're going to have your graph start off 0, not on 0. Okay, but when the money that's coming in is only related to the passengers and nothing else, then when you have 0 passengers, you have 0 rand. Now, what this means for you is you've got to understand this first to be able to say, will this line start at 0 or will it not? Does this relationship, does this money, is it relating to the passengers only, or are there some extra costs involved? Okay, if there are extra costs involved that don't rely on the passengers, that blue line, the independent variable, then yes, the graph will not start at 0. But if it only relies on the independent variable, then yes, the graph will also start at 0.
So
You
does
with?
it mean that it only comes to when it comes to expenses? Is that the only time that actually requires in the graph?
No,
Or
it's a good question. No, not necessarily. For example, if you have a wedding business, okay,
yes, sir.
if you have a wedding business and you're hiring out your venue, and it depends on the number of people that use the venue, you can charge people a deposit. And if 100 people come or if no one comes, you're still getting that deposit. Am I right? So
Yes.
then that's money coming in to your business. Okay. So it can be on the income side as well, that's why I'm saying you got to look very carefully at the relationship
question.
between, yeah, you got to look at the question very carefully and the relationship between the independent variable. Are there extra things like a deposit or a once-off fee? Those things are the extra costs that don't relate to the independent variable directly, then yes, your graph will not start at 0. It'll start somewhere up the y-axis.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, we can see that here in the expense line, the black line there. Look where it starts at 200. Now 200 Rand was the fuel, wasn't it? So this value that this line starts at is showing us this extra 200 Rand that you have to pay every time, no matter how many people are in this taxi. This amount of 200 Rand always has to be paid. So this graph will start at 200 Rand. Okay, good questions. Very good questions. All right, now let's look at the questions that they've given us in this. It said, hence draw the graph. It's for 8 marks. Sure, a lot of marks there for, it's obviously the table and the graph. Okay, so it's probably like 4, 4. 4 marks for the table, 4 marks for the line that we drew. But 8 marks worth there. Now, 1.4, here comes the final question. Pamelo claims that for a single trip, he only made profit if he transports a minimum of 12 passengers. Do you agree? Use a graph to justify your answer. All right, there's a lot happening here. Number one, we're going to try and show that for 12 passengers, if he makes profit or not, and then say, no, I don't agree, or yes, I agree. That's the first thing. And then we got to use the graph to help us with our answer. You can't just say, yes, I agree, or no, you don't agree. You're going to get 1 out of 3 marks. You've got to prove your answer. The why. Why did you say that? Okay. Always have a reason why. Okay. So now Orabile doesn't agree, but Orabile doesn't have a graph. So I'm going to help show with the graph. So let's go down to this graph over here. We first got to understand what is profit. Okay. What is profit? I'll write the formula here. Profit equals your income minus your expenses. All right. That's not very neat. Let me move that over a bit. Profit equals income minus expenses. Okay. So where is this person making profit? Because, for example, if your income is 300 Rand and your expenses are 200 Rand, you will be making 100 Rand profit. All right. So we see here in this scenario where the income is more than the expense, that's when you're making profit. So where on this graph is the income more than the expense? Well, this was our income line. Okay. And that's our expense line over there. So who would like to help me? Who would like to help me explain? For 12 passengers, is this guy making profit? I'm going to draw a line and then some brave soul is going to help me. That's 10. Oh, where's 12? That's 12 and a half. So 12 is about here. So I'm going to draw a line straight up. Right, that's 12 passengers there, that blue line. All right, which brave soul? Which brave soul wants to help me explain? Pomelo says a single trip, he only makes profit if he has 12, a minimum of 12. So you've got to have 12 and then he makes profit. Is he telling the truth? Orabile, where are you? Orabile. Orabile has written something in chat. Don't you want to talk to us and explain why you disagreeing? There we go.
I say so because if he only has 10 passengers, he makes about was it 200 rand, sir? Can you please go back to the top,
All right.
to the expensive income table?
Yeah, for 10 passengers, he makes 200 rand. Yes.
Yeah, so if he has 12 passengers, that means he has something like, let me calculate real quick. 12 times 20 is 240. So he makes 40 rand profit if he has 12 passengers. Below that, like 10 going down, he doesn't make any profit.
Okay. All right. So Orabili's got the right mindset. He's comparing two rand values between the profit and expenses. Okay. Now, Orabili, stay with me. They said use the graph to justify your answer. So what I've done is I've drawn a blue line up here where 12 passengers are. Okay. Now, Orabili,
Yes.
can you tell me here, the red line is income, the black line is expenses. On this blue line, which is 12 passengers, is the income, the red line, more than the expenses?
No, sir.
No. So the red line here is the income is below the expense line. So for 12 passengers, is he making profit?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Ah, look here. This is this income.
Oh, no, okay.
There's expenses.
Okay, yeah,
The
no,
red
sir.
the red one is income is below his expenses. If we have to read it
Yeah.
off the graph, it's about 240. Okay, so
Yes.
I'll write here 240 for his income. And for his expenses, it looks like it's 260. So now with those values there, and you're good with numbers, you can see with the numbers now that he's not making any profit, is he?
Yes, sir. He's not making profit.
He's not making profit. Okay, because for 12 passengers, where is this blue line? What is this? I've gone down to the bottom here and said number of passengers. Tell me where it's 12. So I've drawn a line from 12 down here, straight up to cross the income and expenses and had a look. For 12 passengers, is income more than expenses? No, it's below expenses. So his statement, which says, let's read it again. Formula claims that for a single trip, he only makes profit if he transports a minimum of 12. Do you agree? We would have to say no. We don't agree. Then use your graph to justify your answer. So you're going to do something like this, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have to draw a line up from 12. All right, up from 12 to cross through those two and to show where the income and the expenses are for 12 passengers there. Look how I've written the numbers. You can do that as well. All right. If they said use calculations to justify your answer, you would read off the graph, the 240 and the 260. You would read off the graph, the 240 and the 60, and you would say that profit is the income, which is 240, the red one, minus expenses, which is 260. And we're going to get an answer of minus 20 here. That's not profit. He's losing money.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now let me show you this. Rabila, thank you so much for your help. And I can hear that you're a man that likes to work with numbers. I suspect you're going to be a businessman one day. All right. So on a graph like this, where the income is above the expenses, which is this part of the graph here, all around there, ladies and gentlemen, you are making profit. On the other side, where the expenses are higher than your income on this side, you are making a loss. Okay, so Pomelo needs to be taking more than 12 to start making a profit. I think if I draw a line here, from here, this is the minimum, right? Where they cross each other, that is the minimum. So I'd say 13. I would say 13. All right. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Orabila. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end on that note. As you see there on the screen, or Kia saying, hold on. Kia, are those the right links?
Yes, it is. I just send it way
But
before
a little bit
time.
early.
That's the
It's
only
fine.
problem.
Don't stress. Don't stress. You know how keen these guys are for the quiz links. All right, ladies and gentlemen, they're the quiz links for you tonight. This is going to help you revise everything we've done this week. So please take the link with you tonight before you go. There's the poll that's going to come up as well. And we hope you do exceptionally well in the remainder of your exams tonight or tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow. Guys, it's a holiday tomorrow. I'm not going
Yeah,
anywhere
today
tomorrow.
feels like a Friday.
Yeah, guys, no school tomorrow. Stay in bed, keep warm. All right, stay in bed. Do not get out of bed tomorrow. We're all staying in tomorrow. But for the rest of the exams, for the rest of the term, we hope you guys do well. We're really looking forward to seeing some of the results that you guys get. All right, please let us know as soon as you get results.
I'm just going to post the link again for the quiz. Please make sure that you do not leave without getting access to the quiz. I see we have a question there from Vuela. Please look for a message. There we go.
Okay. I wanted to know, is the school during the holidays, like the Watobe classes?
Yes, we continue with classes during the holidays every Tuesday and Thursday as we normally do. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going. I know what you're thinking. Oh, I know what you're thinking. All right, but please, you have to know that all the effort you put in will pay off in the end.